Cool. All right. I think we're good here. I think we're good. Why don't you drop that zero? Get with this hero. Just say yes. I don't want to hear no no's, because that's not the way it goes. And I'll take it to every Get Fresh show. Y'all know who that is? Doug E. 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on. Doug E. All right, see if we can't make some money off this video here today, shall we? We're going to try to monetize it. I don't know how it works in the live stream, monetize. Yesterday didn't monetize it though, so I don't know what that's about, YouTube. Try not let me get paid for my hard work, YouTube. I say hard work because doing these live streams are fun for me, but if YouTube wants to pay me, I'll be happy to absolve them of the money. All right, there we go. I think we are good here. Yeah, that's what I want right there, man. All right. Hey, Code, you want to bring my T1s ready? Okay, I'll come get it. Hold on, I'll get it, Lee. Don't you worry about a thing. I can't get, hold on just a second, man. What is going on? Pablo, you want to bring my tea? Who? There we go. All right. I think we got it. I think we're good. Hey, Rob W. Hey, Rob, walking the dog. Right on. And what's that? Hey, thanks, Roberto. Roberto, I hear there's a Jews for Trump rally in New York City today, 1,000-car caravan. How cool is that? Thomas, que paso? Paul Steen, right on, right on. A Jews for Trump in New York City, 1,000-car caravan there. How awesome is that? I'm gonna go get my hot tea. I'll be right back. All right, so we are back, everybody. All right. Yeah, very big rally. That's awesome. Vic from Western New York, right on. I'm sorry, there's, Tim Pool has a video today that says Texas polling for Biden, and Newsweek has an article saying that Biden is up by 3 in Texas. There's no way. No way. There is no way. The rallies for Trump are insane. We've never seen this before. It ain't gonna happen, man, that Biden wins. It's just not gonna. He's not gonna win Texas. He's not gonna win. No way. Look, I've been following politics for a long time. Now, I don't remember what it was like in 1980 for Reagan or 1984. I don't recall. But I do remember 1988. They didn't have this for Bush. They certainly didn't have it for Dukakis. 92, there's a lot. You could see the momentum for Clinton, that's for sure, but not like this. This is nuts. This is a huge amount of people who are seeing the what's going on in society and are scared for the country. That's just a fact. They've seen the left has taken such a strong freaking turn that they say we can't let these people in charge, and it's scary for the people, and so they're out there rallying, but they're doing it in a pleasant way. Unlike the left, they're not violent. They're just saying, hey, what's up? It's a party. Everyone's welcome. It's awesome. So no way Trump's losing. No way, man. I see Vero beats Florida. I know Trump's going to win Florida, I think, by 4, I think, and that'd be huge, without question. Look, hey, Roswell, right on. I was just we were in Marietta. Just got back about 10 minutes ago, Lamar. We had a tennis match down there for my kids I was watching. Just got back. Diddy says, I'm 21. Is financial advising a good career to get into? Yeah. If I'm more of an introvert, dude, I'm an introvert too, man. Trust me. People think I'm not. I am. I do not get energized from talking to people. I get energized from doing my own thing for sure. But I have enough in this lump of coal of mine that I got to get out there. But I'm an introvert. Yeah, absolutely, dude. I do enjoy talking to people. More, dude, totally. You're okay. There are more introverts than not. Trust me on that. I think a lot of financial planners should be introverts for sure. All right, so my man Paul's retiring in 10 weeks, moving from Cumming, Georgia, back to Texas. Right on, man. We're in Texas. You'll be moving to Paul. And D Diddy, I'm telling you, if I were you, I'd start as a bank platform person. I cannot stress this enough. Cannot stress this enough. A bank platform person. Go get a job at a bank, a community bank or something like that, and start there for sure. Yeah, I'm going on Tuesday myself, like I do too, Vic. My wife and daughter just voted 2 days ago, and they had to wait 25 minutes. Almost a fight broke out in front of them. It's crazy. And that's in Milton, Georgia, which is the Republican area of Fulton County. And the fact that the lines were long was good. 5-0 Steeler country. Canyon Lake, I know where that is. Down by San Antonio, right? Canyon Lake. Hold on a second. Dude, I freaking hate the Steelers, man. Oh God. Look, I just can't stand the Steelers. From Franco Harris to the Steelers, I hate the Steelers. How do you account for a pension in the barbell approach? Austin, Texas. All right, so that's a good question, Aunt Dell. How do I account for a pension? All right. I think you got to look at a pension as a bond, as an income fund, as an income. So let's just say you have $25,000 a year as a pension. All right. And let's just say, for simplicity, you have $500,000 in your 401k, TSP, or something like that. Right on. Yeah. Canyon Lake, man. Jill. Que paso. I did a video on your, that guy who emailed today, by the way. Canyon Lake is north of San Antonio, not that far north, but I remember that. If memory serves, we actually went there one time on Thanksgiving. I remember that. Anyway, so the barbell is simple. I need 25 for simplicity. I need 10,000 a year from income. The reason I need 10,000. Well, actually, let me start. I tell you what. Let me go. I'm going to share with you. So let's go into my screen here. If I can find my book. If I can find it, it's right here. All right. So I want to go to my book. All right, and we're going to go to the barbell. So let's go up. This is the book I just published. All right, hold on just a second. The Barbell Retirement Plan. There we go. All right, so the Barbell Retirement Plan. It'll be better if I just. So I'm just going to read it, so let's just go with this. The Barbell Retirement Plan. I'm sure you've heard countless financial gurus say you should keep between 3 to 6 months in cash as an emergency fund. I agree with this advice while you're working. But when you retire, I recommend you keep much more in a cash account of some sort. In fact, I recommend keeping 4 years of cash in your retirement portfolio. Yes, you heard that right. 4 years of cash for the simple reason that the sequence of return risk is real. Just look at table 13 previous chapters. I'm not going to get in that just right now. Now, you might have, let's see here. All right. The plan is quite simple. You hold 4 years of annual expenses in a cash-like account and the rest in the Wellington Fund, or in this case, is Wellington Fund because my book is on the Wellington Fund. 4 years of expenses, i.e. cash. When the Wellington Fund has a down year, you pull your expenses from the cash. When the Wellington Fund is up, you pull your expenses from Wellington. And I got a video on the retirement right here. You click. Now, I want to be clear here. Our expenses are just what you need from the portfolio each year, not your true expenses, just what you need from your portfolio. For instance, if you need $15,000 to live, but $10,000 is covered from Social Security, $5,000 is what you need from the portfolio each year. So if $15,000 is what we need to live on, $10,000 is from Social Security, I need $5,000. That makes sense from the portfolio. So you multiply that $5,000 by 4 years, and you should start your retirement with $20,000 in cash. Your annual expenses are $6,000. Again, the amount of money you need that Social Security and pension doesn't cover. Then you put 24,000 in cash like account. And as I go to table 16, how this works. And you can see, so right, have some negative ones right here, right? So we got negative, 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 1930, 1931, 1932. All right, so basically we also have deflation here as well. So anyway, what's happening here is we need 5,000 a year from the portfolio, 5% inflation adjusted starting, and after inflation. So anyway, we need 5,000 a year. So we're starting with 20,000 in cash, 80,000 in Wellington. We're not touching the Wellington the first year, and because Wellington was down 21%, but we have 15,000 in cash because we had to take that amount out of the cash account. Anyway, the point is for you, Ant, let's say you have a $30,000 income need. You need 30,000. 10 comes from pension, 10 comes from Social Security. All right, so that means you need 10,000 a year from your portfolio. A $30,000 annual income need, of which 10 comes from pension, 10 comes from Social Security. So now you say I need 10,000 a year from my portfolio, and I have $40,000 in my barbell, in the one plate of my barbell. The rest I have in Wellington Fund or something like that. So the pension and Social Security are bond likes, but at the end of the day, when it comes to barbell, you don't even use them like that. You say I need X amount after Social Security kicks in, after my pension kicks in. I times that X amount by 4 years, and that's what I put in the barbell. Hope that makes sense. And I want to read a little bit more about my book here tonight too. So we'll dive into that here in just a second. Oops, hold on just a sec. Oops, I have to. There we go. All right. All right. ICF Home Construction. Is ICF Home Construction the name of the group that's doing it for you, Paul? Hendersonville, North Carolina. Right on, man. I'm going to go through there, Hendo Don, and do a video on Hendersonville, North Carolina. I will be. This could be part of my route. So I'm going to go up to Chattanooga, Johnson City, down through Asheville, Hendersonville, and come back around through, is it Franklin, North Carolina? I forgot. But anyways, but Hendersonville, I'll do a thing. Let's see. Being out of work since March, I thought I'd miss going to work, but I love being out. So I have so much to do. Life is too short. I 100% Roberto, I tell you. Mary Hampton, I have to take you up on your offer once we can get into New England without having to freaking give our right arm for COVID stuff. Mary Lee, I'll have you drive me around up there for sure. That will happen for sure. Probably in the fall, not the fall, in the spring. All right. Scott says, who's on the road in his RV, he added the reverse RMD to his retirement spreadsheet. Very exciting. Yeah, dude, it's wonderful. I still default to the barbell. The barbell, and look, I love the reverse RMD thing, but I still default to the barbell because the barbell just is more intuitive for me. And I haven't convinced myself the reverse RMD is something I would frankly be comfortable with. It's such a new concept to me that I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, long story short, the barbell just makes sense. But the reverse RMD is awesome too. It really is. And again, the whole thing at the end of the day, you get a bad year, you tighten your belt. Wow, tighten your belt. We do this anyway. Diddy says he's thinking about getting a master's in financial planning from UGA. Right on. It'll be 100% online. Will fulfill the education requirements for me to get my CFP. I got no qualm with it. My man Jordan went that route. He had a CFP first, and then he got his master's from the University of Georgia. So I got no qualm with that, none whatsoever. I'm connected with a couple of guys on LinkedIn who teach over there. No qualm with that at all, man. None. 4 years of cash is $1 million for some guys. Yeah, man. Wisconsin. But if your pension and Social Security is greater than your spending, then you not only can you continue to save, you will continue to save. What if you're not taking Social Security until 67 and you retire at 62? Insulated construction. Gotcha. Right on. I still don't understand the insulated construction. This is probably the second or third time I've heard people talk about this on my YouTube channel just in the last 2 weeks. I don't know what it means. Is there a link you could put in? I'd be interested in reading up on that. Yeah, Hendo, send me an email, man. When I get up there, it'd be cool to get the lay of the land. Because when I met a guy, I forgot his name off the top of my head. No, I remember. I'm not going to say it though. But I met a guy. He told me the lay of the land, Rapid City. He loved it. And it was all right, right on. Anyway, so this guy in Rapid City, he just, he's not from there originally. He's from Colorado. He moved to a small town initially, and then he's now been in Rapid City for 20 years. He loves it. He says it's great. He's a big righty. They said no mosquitoes. You know, the cost of heat his house isn't that expensive. It's a mild climb. I just think for knowing what I know about the old ball and chain there, she would go insane in a small town. That's that small. I just know for a fact, especially if none of our kids are near. You know how it is with women. They got to be around their children at all times. Well, me too. But especially if you have grandkids, and I tell you, I'd be on my grandkids like stink on Pablo, if you know what I'm saying. And I can't wait. Anyway, so I think the Rapid City for you guys who don't have kids, or you guys who are more into the more remote part. And it's not remote. I mean, it's a small town, but it's not like freaking. I mean, they got everything you could possibly ask for out there. I think Rapid City would be great. It's too out there for me. It's just no other way around that. Let's see. What if you're not taking Social Security and you retire at 62? I'm not sure what you're asking me, Mark. So Mark says he's not taking Social Security until he's 67 and he retires at 62. So I'm not sure what you're saying. The book's available. The book is available now. The soft cover is available now, I think, in terms of paperback, I should say. I haven't seen it yet. The book is available on Kindle. Absolutely. In fact, maybe I'll just share with you guys where that is, so you can buy it and make me some of that sweet, sweet Amazon commissions. Let's see here. All right, so let's go over here. Go to Amazon. Oops, what's going on here? That's not what I want. All right, hold on just a second. I want to go to here. All right, can y'all see this? Go to Amazon. All right. And there she blows right there. Retire with the Wellington Fund, available on Kindle for free, Kindle Unlimited. I think you get a 90-day trial if you sign up for it, Kindle Unlimited. And I think the paperback is available for $10 on the paperback. It is color. I haven't seen it yet in terms of on the paper. I don't know like how. I've seen it on the PDF that they allow you, Kindle does, or Amazon does, but I haven't seen it on the paperback. So I'm not sure if I unpublish it, what that will do. What I mean by that, I ordered a copy for myself. I have not seen it yet. So if you buy this book as a paperback, you know, what's it called? Buyer beware, caveat emptor, whatever it's called, because I have yet to see it. I don't know what it looks like, and I haven't been able to digest it or dissect it, I guess. Now the Kindle I think looks great. So anyway, but the Kindle is free, Kindle Unlimited. If you're not a member of Kindle Unlimited, it's $5.99. The paperback's gonna be $10. It is in color, but again, just go in there with your own, because I don't know what it's gonna look like for sure. But it's available, absolutely. How do we get out of that? Okay, cool. Gotcha. All right, hold on just a second. I'll go there. All right, sweet. I was going to do both the barbell. Right on, Dan. We get more trolls again. We had trolls last night too. What's all these trolls? What are these people trolling me about? My goodness. That must be Antifa. I can't get the. There we go. All right, sweet. All right. Man, I have to look at ICF. That's cool. ICF. All right, right on. Wouldn't a good growth mutual fund be the best with the barbell? Well, yeah, thanks for asking. Let's go into the book, shall we? Which one do I want? I gotta go this guy. Let's go into the book. All right, so here, let me go back to the beginning. Hold on just a second. I want to go to results. I'm going the right way. Inflationary years. Okay, so I want to right here, Wellington Fund. Let's start with the aughts. The Wellington Fund and the aughts, Kevin. Now, this may shock you, but believe it or not, the first decade of the 2000s was actually worse for American investors than the decade of the 1930s. The S&P 500 averaged 5% annually back then, whereas in the 2000s it was just over 1%. Factor in inflation, which didn't exist in the 1930s, but certainly did in the 2000s, and the aughts were downright ugly compared to the Depression decade. Hard to believe, isn't it? In the table below, you'll see that by investing only in the S&P 500, taking an initial 4% distribution and adjusting for inflation, we barely survived 20 years, and that's the 4% rule. Only invested in the S&P 500. Now, we're going to get this here in just a second. So going back to So let's keep going. All right. So basically after 20 years, we only had 38,000 left in the S&P 500 as of the end of 2019. Yeah, look at the chart below. This is the Wellington Fund with 6% annual distributions adjusted for inflation. After 20 years, you're still above what you started with, 6% adjusted for inflation. So here's our withdrawal amount, 6,000 adjusted for inflation. Now we're taking about, what's that, 9,000. And yet we started with 100,000 and we are at over 100,000 bucks. Tell me that's not crazy. That's crazy. We were back where we started. That's nuts. So as you can see, the S&P 500 got smoked by Wellington during the first part of the 21st century. The reason for this is twofold. Wellington relies on large cap value stocks, and Wellington has a third of his portfolio in bonds. Large cap value stocks fell only 26% from 2000 to 2020, whereas large cap growth stocks, which makes up a huge portion of the S&P 500, fell 49% at the same time. I'm using VIVAX and VIGRX as proxies here. Bonds actually increased 30% during the same time. So while the market as a whole fell in 2000 to 2002, it was growth stocks that took the brunt of the decline, and bonds did what they're supposed to do, offset stock losses. Be advised, this doesn't happen all the time. You can look at VCFIX as your proxy to see what happened to corporate bonds in 2008. So over the conundrum. Over the last 9 decades, investors have had 3 significant yet completely different market cycles to contend with. The Great Depression with low stock returns and deflation. Inflation with low stock returns, 1966 to 1982. Moderately low inflation with low stock returns in the aughts. Of those 3 scenarios, twice did the Wellington Fund best the S&P 500. But one time, the S&P 500 survived where Wellington did not. For a soon-to-be retiree, you're at quite the fork in the road, aren't you? What path do you take? Choose wrong and you're broke. In the following pages, I'm going to introduce you to my version of the path less taken. And that's where we started the barbell. So what happened was the S&P 500 in the inflationary times or growth stock, as I think it was Kevin pointed out, did better than the Wellington Fund. The Wellington Fund got killed in 1966 through 1982. Actually, basically, if you retired in 1966 and did the barbell with Wellington, you were smoked. Uh-oh, here comes somebody. Come on in, big boy. Come on in. You can open the door. He's out there playing with his chew toy. If you retired in 1930 with a Wellington, you did fine. If you retired in 2000 Wellington, you did fine. It was in 1966. Simply because inflation became gradually higher to the extent it was in the double digits in the 70s. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if even going to the 80s it was double digits. Now, what's up, big boy? And inflation kills bonds. There's just no other way around it. Inflation is a bond killer. Deflation, bonds love deflation. I mean, again, just as you have a fixed income, inflation is eating away at your income without question. Your income is fixed. I cannot stress this enough. As this is why having a mortgage is great if you think we're going to inflation, because you are essentially allowing the mortgage to be reduced each and every year as the cost of living increases. And so what's happening is what used to cost, the equivalent of $1,000 in mortgage today, after 10 years is the equivalent of $600, even though you're still paying a fixed $1,000 a month. Right? I'm just using that for an example. And deflation is the exact opposite. And deflation, the loaner, the lender, I should say, is loving life in a bond, because he's getting $1,000 a month in income, but $1,000 gets to buy more and more and more each and every year. I talk about this a lot in the book. Maybe I'll read a chapter here in just a second. So lenders love deflation. Borrowers love inflation. All right. And if you're a lender, i.e. you own bonds, deflation is your friend. If you're a borrower, inflation is your friend, and then you can reverse the two. So that's the issue about having a growth stock, because if you do go into low inflation, we just and then we get low returns, you get smoked. There's no 2 ways around that. So that's the challenge. It's a tough one for sure. Josh, should name that cash reserve old physical holding of gold or silver? No. I want that cash as readily accessible where I can convert to buy food, for instance, that I can use to pay the bills. I think you should have some gold and silver. Absolutely, I do. I think, in fact, I need to get some more. As a matter of fact, I think gold's now at $1,900 an ounce. I don't care. I mean, I'd rather buy it when I think I bought my first ounce at 1,100. Now it's at $1,900. But that's the nature of the beast, man. But I don't want gold to be sitting in my cash account, because I need my cash account to put food on the table. But with that said, I do not shy away from owning gold, not at all. Let's see. What is reverse RMD? All right, so let's go into reverse RMD. No, that's not it. There we go. All right. Yeah, right there. All right, cool. All right, so let's go to reverse RMDs. Oops. All right. Introducing the reverse RMD method. Now again, what is that noise? It's just the weirdest noise, man. I think Pablo peed under our bed this morning from Real Rat Fink. Pablo. Introducing the reverse RMD method. In the course of researching this book with various spreadsheets, I came across a strategy that I've yet to hear anyone previously dive into, what I call the reverse required minimum distribution plan. And the more I ran various number crunching scenarios, the more I came to appreciate the beauty of this retirement plan. I almost didn't include this section in this book, as I will do an entire book solely on the strategy. But for you who purchased this book and have got this far, I simply cannot hold back. This information is just too important. Let me dive into the background first. As I mentioned in previous chapters, I fully believe that retirees will spend less as they age. Frankly, I don't find much debate in this anymore. Anecdotally and empirically, the evidence all leads to the same conclusion. Older people consume less with each passing year. Yes, there's always an outlier. For instance, some, but not very many, will be faced with significant long-term care costs. Well, you have a house, hopefully paid off, for which you can use to offset the cost in the likely event that you'll need to pay for long-term care expenses in the mid-six figures. It's not going to happen. Some people do, very few do, though. Other than those outliers, it just makes sense as you get older, you don't want to do as much. 85-year-olds aren't traveling to the same extent as they did when they were 65. Unfortunately, the entirety of retirement planning seems to revolve around the idea of making sure that the 85-year-old retirees always have the same amount of spending power as the 65-year-old did. This means we are sacrificing a spending opportunity for that 65-year-old in order to achieve the same spending when he is 85. That's nuts. Hey, Bob, aren't you glad you didn't go on that trip to Jerusalem when you were 65 before your wife died? Now that you're 85, you still have a lot of money to spend. Trust me, Bob won't take kindly to that question because he wished he went on vacation. So reverse RMD in action. This led me to try to find a way where we could spend more on the front end of retirement, but not overly risk having no money in our older years, even if we needed to cut back. And thus the reverse RMD retirement plan was born. First, let me explain what an RMD is. RMD is a required minimum distribution the IRS mandates you take out from your retirement accounts each year once you reach the age of now 72. The amount you required is an increasing percentage amount as you age. So when you're 72, you must divide your account balance by 25.6, which is a 3.9% distribution rate. When you're 73, you must divide your account balance by 24.7, which is a 4% distribution rate. When you're 80, you'll have a 5.3% distribution rate, and so on. That's how RMDs work. You are required to take a higher distribution from your IRA the older you get. The reverse RMD strategy is the exact opposite. In this scenario, you take more out of your retirement accounts in the beginning and gradually reduce the percentage you take out each year. Be advised, the reverse RMD is not a sanctioned IRS table or anything like that. It's just a term I created to help explain the concept. So let's assume you had $100,000 in Wellington and your first year of retirement is 1930. Of course, you didn't know you're at the beginning of the Great Depression. You had no idea what you're retiring into. But after working your tail off for 40 years, you simply wanted to enjoy a few years in retirement before you began to slow down. So you embarked on the reverse RMD retirement plan. You took 12% of your money out the first year, 11.8% the next, 11.6% the next, and so on. How did you fare? Chart 20, Wellington Fund reverse RMDs. You see 12%, a 20 basis point decline each year. Should probably make that a little bit darker. You got, anyway, so what's happening is your annual withdrawals And that's your ending balance. So your ending balance, we're getting crushed now by the market in 1930 because 1930 begins horribly. So we're getting crushed. So you can see, though, we took, well, I'll just read it to you. Well, as you can see in the chart above, you never ran out of money. So here is your ending balance, about $45,000. You still had $45,000 in your portfolio 30 years later. However, your income was reduced as markets decline. In fact, here's your income. All right. So bear with me just a second. In the first year of retirement, because Wellington declined by 21%, you were only able to withdraw $9,480. 30 years later, you were withdrawing only $3,000. If we started with a 4% distribution rate and adjusted for inflation, in 30 years, you'd be taking out $6,759, more than twice what the 12% RMD method allowed for. So startling, isn't it? In fact, I can hear the screams of the traditional retirement planning saying this proves the reverse RMD doesn't work. Oh, ye of little faith. Let's dive a little bit deeper before you lambast me, shall we? Look at chart 21 below. Notice that it wasn't until 1941 when the 4% adjusted for inflation distributions were larger than the reverse RMD. So let's go into this. So right here, annual withdrawals. Here's the reverse RMD. Here's a 4% adjusted for inflation. Again, we're going into deflationary time. So it wasn't until you were 11 years into retirement before the 4% inflation adjusted overcame the reverse RMD. 11 years, all right? So 11 years, you're living on more money than you were with a 4% adjusted for inflation. All right. Now, in that initial 11 years of retirement using the reverse RMD method, most certainly the time of retirement when you're going to be doing the most, you withdrew 56% more than you did if you stuck with the traditional 4%. Now, over the next 19 years, again, of course, should you live that long, which is highly unlikely, but still, you withdrew nearly twice as much using the traditional approach than you did with the reverse RMD method. Is that a trade-off you want to make? I don't know. But remember, if the premise of retirement is to spend more of your first years in retirement and ensure you don't run out of money, the reverse RMD approach accomplishes both of these objectives. Let's keep going. Now, the 4% traditional approach also had more money left when you died. The chart below shows that the ending value of both your accounts at death. So the reverse RMD, you're only left with, like I said, about 45,000. The 4%, you're left with 150,000 at your death. Okay. Mm-hmm. You left triple the amount of money to your heirs with the traditional method. Wow. So not only did you live miserly in the first 10 years of retirement, you also left a lot more to your kids too. Great. I'm being sarcastic here, my friends. You essentially flew coach during your retirement so your kids could fly first class when you died. That may be something you want to accomplish, but not me. After raising 4 kids, I'm ready for some me time when I go into retirement. Me time means, of course, doting on my grandkids. But remember, the above has you retired in 1930, just 1 year late into the Great Depression. What if you retired in 1931, still within the grips of that big old bear that was wreaking havoc on the economy and the markets? Here's in 1931, chart 23. 4% adjusted for inflation, reverse RMD is 4% adjusted with inflation is the blue, reverse RMD is red. We like red here over blue. And you can see it took until 1946 before the two things met. 15 years in retirement. If you notice in the above chart, it took until 1946 before the 4% inflation adjusted withdrawal overtook the 12% reverse RMD method. That means in the first 15 years of retirement, when it matters most, you had nearly 70% more income using the reverse RMD method than the traditional method. Now, the next 15 years, you spent 54% more using the traditional method. But who cares? First, you may not even be around in those 15 years to enjoy that increased spending. Don't forget, many of us do not live until our 90s. The vast majority of us die before we turn 90 years old, as a matter of fact. Secondly, even if you do survive that long, are you really able to enjoy the extra spending when you're 85? I highly suspect not. Lastly, the evidence is overwhelming that as people age, they spend less. Now, if leaving more to your kids is important, the traditional model works best. Just see below. And again, we're going to show you here. Look at the difference. 12% reverse RMD method and 4% adjusted for inflation. 12% reverse RMD method, I can't remember how much you left, about $50,000, I guess. 4% adjusted for inflation, you left $400,000. Yep, you had a lot more money left using the 4% rule. Nice for your kids. But was that the expense of your own retirement? I hope not. And if leaving money to your heirs was a priority, there are much more efficient strategies to do this than to starve yourself in retirement. All right, so results of the reverse RMD. I'm just going to keep going through this. The previous chapter compared what happened if you retired in 1930 or 31 and used two different methods, the traditional 4% rule and the reverse RMD method, starting with a 12% distribution. In neither case did you run out of money over a 30-year retirement. The reverse RMD allowed you to spend significantly more in the first half of your retirement, but required you to cut back in the last. The traditional method limited spending at the beginning of retirement in order to ensure that your spending kept up with inflation. There is no right or wrong in either scenario. You have to do what works for you. However, in my experience, working with thousands of clients over 3 decades, I can count on one hand the number who said they want to limit retirement spending in order to leave more for their kids. What they want to do is enjoy their first 10 years or so of retirement without risking run out of money should they live into their late 80s or early 90s. In my estimation, the reverse RMD method works like a charm for this, as long as people know they might need to spend less as they age. But I want to try more than just to run the 12% reverse RMD method for 1930 and 1931. So I ran a number of scenarios during the most trying years to which I've retired: 1930, 31, 66, 73, and 2000. Those are the 5 worst years to have retired for sure. I mean, if you go back to 1929, which I will in the S&P book, but Wellington wasn't around for a whole calendar year in 1929. I also did reverse RMDs starting with 10% and 8% of distributions as well, still reducing by 20 basis points each year. 20 basis points is 0.20%, by the way. So if you take 1%, that's 100 basis points. There's 100 basis points in 1%, 200 basis points in 200%. So 20 basis points is 1/5 of 1%, or 20, or just 1/5 of 1%, or 0.20. So we took 1937, table 17, we have Wellington reverse RMD. We retired in 1930. We took 12, 10, and 8% distributions out. We're reducing it by 20 basis points each year. Total distributions was 114,000 using 12%, 117,000 using 10, 110,000 using 8. Average annual was 3,800, 3,900, 3,700 basically, so pretty close. Remaining balance, 12% we only had 44,000, 10% we had 85,000, and the 8% we had 162. So table 17 shows if you retired in 1930, had 100,000 all in the Wellington fund, you would have received 114,000 in total income with 12% reverse RMDs, averaging 3,800 a year, and your portfolio would have been worth 44,000 at the end of 30 years. After crunching the numbers, it seems starting with a 10% distribution and reducing by 20 basis points was actually the most effective, though, because you took out the most income. You can see 117,000 income and left almost double what you did in the 12%. Now, you could say, well, you're leaving more here in the 8% and taking out less in income, taking out just a little bit less, but I want you to take out more so you can spend it. We want to spend as much as we possibly can without the risk of running out of money. So I think this is the best bet, the 10%, because it gives us the most income to distribute and it gives us a decent amount to leave to the kiddos as well. So I'm a fan of that. Table 18 shows in 1931, the same thing, the 10% just seemed to work a little bit best. You took out 159,000 of income and you left 114,000 to the kiddos. 8%, you took out 150,000 income and you left 216,000 to the kiddos. But again, the bulk of your income is going to be on the front end of your retirement. So if you're only taking 8% out, you're taking less on the front end. So I didn't like the 8% as much in these years. 1966, again, the 10% seems to be best. You took 170,000 out of income, the most for income, and you left a decent amount as well in 1966. 1973, it gets a little bit dicier. In 1973, we took 270,000 out using the 10%, and we left 230,000. But look, at 8%, you took 262,000 and left 437. So that's a challenge. And that was the inflationary years of 1973. These were inflationary years as well. But it remains to be seen what will be best having started in the year 2000, the 8% or the 10% method, but it does not look good for the 12% reverse RMD method starting in 2000. So here's the reverse RMD starting in 2000. You can see we only have 55,000 left after 20 years. That's not good. And now we did take out the most money, but that's going to be tough. That's for sure. The 10%, we still have 86,000. We took out 142,000. So that looks a lot better than 12% in starting in 2000. That I don't like that. So basically, my conclusion is that 10% is probably best. Now let's compare the reverse RMD to a 4 and 5% withdrawal amount adjusted for inflation each year. Table 22 compares 5 different scenarios starting in 1930. So again, we talked about the reverse RMD. Here's 5%. So if you took a 5% distribution adjusted for inflation each year, you did run out of money in year 29. In the interim, you're able to take $166,000 out those. That's not so bad. And if income, maximizing your income for basically the most likely scenario for retirement, 5% withdrawal rate looks pretty good adjusted for inflation. Again, this is retiring in 1930. 4%, we were able to take out 140,000. We left 150,000. But again, the bulk of that spending was on the back end, and I don't like it. Notice that the 4 of the 5 scenarios still had money 30 years later. The 5% strategy, while it did run out, did last for 29 years. And during those 29 years, the 5% strategy had to spending a whole heck of a lot more than any of the other retirement strategies. But again, both these strategies start with less amount on the front end when you're going to be enjoying the most. So I just like that reverse 10% RMD best. However, the point still needs to be made that the reverse RMD strategies had you spending more at the beginning of your retirement and less later. Is that a bad thing? I personally do not think so, but it's up to you. If not running out of money is your top priority, the 4% rule is not the safest, not by any stretch. The reverse RMD strategies never run out of money. Check this out. So he's retired in 1966. 4% a year in Wellington ran out of money in year 21 because the inflation destroyed the bonds. I cannot stress this enough. Inflation is a bond killer. So if you did 4% a year with Wellington's basically, you're literally, it's like you're the 4% rule Bunyan made it. You got 40% in intermediate government bonds, and you have 60% in the large cap stocks. And the Wellington's all in large cap value stocks, but still, look at that. 4% ruled Wellington got smoked in 1966. It ran out of money in year 21. 5% ran out of money within the first half of your retirement. Not good. The reverse RMDs all lasted the entire 30 years, though. Yes, you spent a lot less using the reverse RMDs during those 30 years, but because you still had assets at the beginning of the Reagan bull run starting in 1982, you could have increased your income if you so desired, because here we're leaving 166,000, 311,000. So if you needed to take more money out, you could. It was there for the taking for sure. The 4% distribution method does work pretty well in protecting your assets. Other than the few retirement scenarios starting in the mid-60s, you were able to take distributions out, adjust it for inflation, and still have money left over at the end of 30 years. I do not want to minimize that. But again, what are we trying to accomplish? My argument is that most retirees want to enjoy the first 10 years or so in retirement, knowing that as they age, they'll back off and spend less. If this is you, it's awful hard to beat the reverse RMD method. Even starting the bear market of 1973, all of the reverse RMD methods held their own. The 10% starting point begins to look the best bet to me, and I agree. 10%, look at it. 10%, you took out $271,000 of income, you averaged $9,000 a year, and you had $200,000 left over, $230,000 bucks. 5% in 1973, you ran out of money in year 20. 4%, you did take out more in income, but again, it's all back date or back, whatever's on the back end. Backloaded, I guess. So I'm not a fan. All right, finally, let's just look at everything and see what we get. From 1930 to 2019, we have 59 30-year periods. Table 25. 6% inflation with the Wellington Barbell. The 59 times, 31, you had money left after 30 years, and 28 times you ran out of money. That's 6% adjusted with inflation. 6% fixed. So we're saying I'm taking 6,000 a year out each and every year. It's not reducing at all. We only ran out of money one time. 7%, 7.5% fixed even. We had a 47-12 record. Again, I'm taking 7,000 a year out and not adjusting with it. 7.5, I'm taking 75 a year out. 7,500 a year out. You can see I still have basically a 2-to-1 hit win-to-loss record, which is pretty good. You're hitting 666. 5.5% adjusted with inflation is 36 and 23. Again, that also assumes that you're not cutting your back. You're not tightening your belt at all. Now, without doing the barbell, you just put it all in Wellington. 6% adjusted with inflation, 36 and 23. 5.5% adjusted with inflation, 40 and 19. 5% adjusted with inflation, 43 and 16. 4.5% adjusted with inflation, 59%, 50 and 9. So you can see that, yes, there are times you ran out of money. The vast majority, well, the predominant amount of times you did not. In fact, you left a lot of money too. And then, of course, the reverse RMD scenarios. Every single time you ran out of no money. Not one time did you run out of money. Note that if you took $7,000 a year distribution without adjusting for inflation and using the barbell scenario, this guy right here, you had money 47 times out of 59. So 47 and 12. Crazy. If you only had the Wellington fund, no barbell, took a 5.5% initial withdrawal and adjusted annually for inflation, you would have run out of money 19 times. That was 40 wins and 19 losses. In fact, if you took 6% initially and adjusted for inflation, you still only ran out of money 23 times. Again, this assumes you never adjust your spending when times get tight, but no one does that. As you can see, the reverse RMD approach, not one time did you ever run out of money, not once. So if not running out of money is the most important thing for you, the reverse RMD is the way to go. But the problem with the reverse RMD is you potentially have less and less income as you age. And this is the inherent risk, as you have no clue what your future expenses will be. All right, so that's the thing on the reverse RMD. So again, it's tough, man. I had this whole book ready to go about a month and a half ago, and I said, oh man, but then I came up with the reverse RMD, and it just changed. It set me back. I was like, oh man, it just changed my whole course. But I love it. It's just at the end of the day, is a new concept, and so I had to think long and hard about it, how I wanted to present it. What about some of the criticisms I've heard of Dave Ramsey? I just think he goes way over the top with his against whole life insurance, against reverse mortgages, and his investment stuff is nuts, man. I don't know. That's the whole thing. His stuff on investing, I think, is bad. It's actually quite bad. If post-tax 401k is available, would you use that as your only retirement account? Would you contribute the full 15% post-tax? I'd put whatever they do into the match, and then I'd put the rest into a Roth IRA if that's if you have the income to do it. If not, I'd do it to the Roth. Absolutely. Hey, Deb. Hey, just bought paperback. Okay, well, we'll see how it shows up. I hope it looks good. Again, I haven't seen the copy yet. I've seen it as a PDF and not the copy. CB. Yeah, like the reverse RMD 10% withdrawals. B2 CB. Is my book going to Audible? Maybe. My other ones have, Jay. I use so many spreadsheets and graphs, so I'm not sure how effective those are. I don't know. And I make, probably generate 50, 60 bucks a month on Audible sales, which is good. It costs me $500 to get it in there. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I probably will ultimately, just it can't hurt. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I don't generate enough revenue from Audible to make it a high priority. And frankly, I'm not sure how effective it is when you're talking spreadsheets on an Audible. I just don't know. Or, an ebook, not an ebook, audiobook. But I probably will, to be honest with you. What I'll probably do is just do what I'm doing now and just read it and show you the notes, and you can download it. I'll put it on a podcast, or so. That's what I did my other ones. In fact, I gotta get somebody to I gotta get that. I gotta get my podcast going back again. It's just been probably 6 months where I posted anything on my podcast, just because I like YouTube. I mean, I enjoy YouTube more than anything. And I'm just, it's time. I tell you, man, I've been freaking insanely busy with clients, which I like. It pays the bills. I enjoy meeting people and talking to people too, but there's only so much time you got. And I still like doing videos, and I still like writing books. And I got more. I got to do my Roth conversion course. I got another book on the barbell with just the S&P 500. I want to do that. And my man, Daniel Coolbert is on here. Well, he was a few minutes ago, so hopefully he's still here. He got his spreadsheets out there ready that I can use. I had something else. As Roth conversions. I just thought of another idea today I want to use. Roth conversion. I want to do that course. Oh, is the what was I working on today? It was on I can't remember. Hold on a sec. What was I doing today? I was doing something. It was Yeah, when to take Social Security. That's it. Yeah, when to take Social Security. So I was like, that's another one. I was working on that all morning. See, this is the thing. I get too. I just gotta stay focused, man. Yeah. So Vino says in 2008-9, there was a fantastic opportunity to buy good stocks for cheap if you have cash. I mean, that's the issue. I mean, if you don't have cash, there's no opportunity. Wellington is my bread and butter fund since 1995. Cooper the Great says, if you retire early at 50 with no pension, what funds would you suggest in a taxable account to live off dividends or stock sales? Man, I had no idea what your risks. I don't know. I don't know what your risks and all that stuff is, man. So I cannot even begin to give recommendation in that regard. I'm a fan of American funds. I like the Income Fund of America better than American Balanced Fund, Doc. So if you have a no sales charge break point for American Balanced, I imagine you have the same for the Income Fund of America. The drawback, of course, I assume you already have American Balance, so you'd have to move it from American Balance to Income Fund of America, which is a taxable event. So I would not do that. I like American funds. I've made no mince words of how much I appreciate the good folks at American Funds. I'm a big fan. You know, it's tough to go wrong with American Funds. It really is. Especially I have no sales charge break point. I got no qualm with that, man. But I think it's as long as you're in the same fund family, you don't have to add it to American Balance. You can still add it to other American funds because you have, I guess that'd be over $1 million in there, man. So you have over $1 million. There should be you should get the funds at NAV without having to go specific to a specific mutual fund. So I would maybe, instead of adding to the American Balance, I like Income Fund of America. It's a great fund. It's kind of like the American Funds version of Wellington, excuse me. Jill says, what about moving stock gains throughout the year to cash fund to keep it at your 3, 5 or more years goal, then take all the distributions of the cash fund? No stock gains, still take cash. Yeah, that's what my man up there, Fritz, who is in Rapid, literally, we probably pass each other in Rapid City and even going down to Custer. He was there at the same time. Nuts, but he does that. Frankly, it bores me. I'd be like, oh, look, I don't like paying attention to the markets. It bores me. And, if you want to do that, more power to you. Taking gains off the table when they're given, I got no qualm with that. I think it's a great strategy. And on top of it, there is something called trend. I mean, if there are momentum and trends, and what happens is if it went up yesterday, there's a more likelihood it goes up tomorrow. So if you're taking gains off it yesterday, you're selling something that had more upside potentially. So I just do it once a year and be done with it. But some people enjoy it. Some people get into it and they're like Fritz, man. He looks at it once a quarter, if not more. It bores me to death, but hey, I got no qualm with that. What's that private group you have that's $10 a month? That's my Subscribe Star. So Subscribe Star is the freedom-loving version of Patreon. So remember Patreon. In fact, I'm freaking pissed off at PayPal too. PayPal, they're banning BitChute. Like I contribute $5 a month to BitChute too through Subscribe Star. BitChute is the alternative to the YouTube. And PayPal, it's all freaking corrupt, man. When Trump wins, I hope they go after these freaking people like crazy. I'm sick of these guys. They all ban one way and one way only. It's freaking wrong. And anyway, so Patreon is the way you can support whatever. Like Christopher Columbus. His Patreon was what's her name? Queen. Well, I forgot her name. Anyway, from Italy. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, and so Christopher Columbus, not just say that, because aren't we supposed to say we hate that guy? We hate Christopher Columbus. He's so bad. It's Indigenous Peoples Day, Josh. No longer Columbus. Slice his head off with Thomas Jefferson, with George Washington. Who else? Churchill. We got to slice his head off. Churchill. Reagan's next. We're going to slice Reagan's head off. Who else? Well, obviously Trump, because Trump's freaking Nazi, right? Even though we just had a huge Jews for Trump rally in New York City, but Trump's a Nazi. It's weird because if I was Jewish, I think Nazis want to kill me, which means I don't think I'd want to support somebody who's a Nazi because I'm Jewish and the Nazis want me dead. Thus, Trump is a Nazi and I'm supporting him, which means either I'm stupid, not realizing Trump wants me dead, or all these people who say Trump's a Nazi are full of Pablo's excrement. What could it possibly be? What possibly could it be that I'm stupid or that Trump is actually not a Nazi? Huh. Could Trump maybe not be a Nazi? Especially when we look around and we don't see any concentration camps. Oh, the kids in cages, that was Obama and Sniffy Joe. Oh, yeah, interesting. So Trump didn't put the kids in cages. Obama and Sniffy Joe did. There's no one going to concentration camps. Now, again, there were people going to internment camps, but that was the Democrats. There are people being held as slaves. That was the Democrats. Huh. It seems almost like there's this fake history going around, isn't there? It's crazy. Huh. Anyway, so that private group, Subscribestar, you go to subscribestar.com/Josh Scanlon. It's just you support me, $10 a month. We do a private meeting, once or twice a month where people can call in with questions and stuff like that. It's fun. I like it. Sometimes I put it on YouTube. Sometimes I don't, but I enjoy it. And it's a cool way for people, I guess, to say, hey, we appreciate $10 a month. I support Dave Cullen. I'm a big fan of Computing Forever. I support Paul Joseph Watson. I support Styx Hexhammer. I support BitChute. I support a couple other people too. I forgot, but I support a bunch of people on there because it's the only way to keep. Is Tim Pool on there? I can't remember Tim Pool. It seems like I missed a couple other people I support. Tony Heller, he's on Subscribestar, but I give Tony Heller. I probably give him $100, a couple times a year. You got to support the independent people, man, because if not, we're just gonna be all talking the corporate line. And people like Tony Heller, Dave Cullen. These guys are setting the friggin' standard for the independent journalism with real facts, real data. It's insane, people out there, how many good journalists and reporters and just commentators are out there on our side. And our side is the libertarian right. Styx Hexhammer, not a Christian, not a right-wing demagogue by a stretch. Tim Pool, not a Christian, not a right-wing demagogue by a stretch. I was listening to Brett Weinstein today, interview Murray, Douglas Murray. Very interesting. Our side is dominant, that's for sure. The good guys are winning, and we're going to win in November. And when I mean the good guys, the people who aren't Nazis, aren't fascists like the left is. And the left, for some reason, capitulated to these guys. I don't understand it. It's the weirdest thing to me I've ever seen in my life, how the left has allowed mobs of Antifa and BLM take over. It's weird to me. And I just think if you're on Twitter and you think everything revolves around Twitter, that's where the American people are. They're just not. I'm telling you, man. Look, I might have egg on my face. We shall see. Maybe the Sniffy Joe takes over Texas. The idea that Sniffy Joe is going to outperform Obama. Nuts. All right. So right on. Carrie says she just purchased the book. Much obliged. Yeah, there you go. Dan put this. Oh, speaking of which, and Dan's, I do a lot of spreadsheets, and just real quick, while Dan threw my Subscribestar thing, I will throw his website out there. If I can find it, hold on just a second. I can't remember what it was. That's Dan. Oops. Yeah, here we go. Oops. Anyway, Dan. Just go on YouTube. Dan Colabert, Kulibert, like Colabert, like Bert and Ernie. And there he is right there. So Dan, if you want to put your website and YouTube channel on here, by all means do so. So Dan Colabert, that way you can have access to his spreadsheets, which I use frequently. In fact, I say I use them pretty much daily. He charges a hefty fee, like $30, $50, something like that. It's actually funny, Dan had some clown who said, this is a bait and switch. Initially, Dan says you're $25 and now they're $35. That's a bait and switch. And I said, then don't buy them. Don't buy them. No one's forcing you. He was just, do feel like it's a bait and switch. I said, then don't pay for it. Who gives a crap, dude? No one's put a gun to your head saying you got to buy these things. People get stupid. Anyway, so Dan might cost $100 now. I don't know. I don't care. Dan Colbert's website and his spreadsheets are freaking worth whatever he charges. That's all there is to it. So, man, just some people I'm like, dude, I guarantee what was Grant Stevens say of avocado toast? I don't even know what that is. I just think it's funny. Grant Stevens says, slicing my or buttering my bread with avocado toast. Is that a thing? I don't know. All right. So Mary says, hey, Mary, would you advise single woman past full retirement age to take Social Security at full retirement or wait till 70? Forced to make decision to take Social Security All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear about the stupid jaw loss. It better not because of the freaking sweet and sour sniffles. I'm still infuriated by this. Did you read? Let me just read this to you, Mary. I'll answer your question. Check this out. You want to get, all right, you guys get ready to pissed off. All right, here, we're all going to get pissed off together. This is not freedom. All right. And hold on just a second. Old Pablo comes in, goes out, comes in, goes out. I think he thinks I have food. All right, so let's read about the great state of California, shall we? I just had it. I was just reading it, man. You got to get out of California. That's all there is to it. Oh, right here. This is from Powerline Blog. Powerline Blog. You need to read these guys every day. The Grinch who stole Thanksgiving. Governor Gavin I call him Gruesome, Department of Health has issued updated guidance for private gatherings on Thanksgiving. Basically, it's illegal to have fun in California. Quote, gatherings that include more than 3 households are prohibited. That includes everyone present, including host and guest. So my wife has 8 brothers and sisters, which means we could not gather together under order of law in a private home in America in 2020. This is freaking frightening stuff. So if you have 3 kids, you can invite 2 of them. All gatherings must be held outside. Attendees may go inside to use restrooms as long as the restrooms are frequently sanitized in America in 2020 in your private property. The governor of California, by decree, is saying this. Gatherings may occur. This guy who's from Minnesota said this would not work well in Minnesota because we are 8 inches of snow already on the ground. We haven't even gotten to Halloween. We already have 8 inches of snow on the ground. Gatherings may occur in outdoor spaces that are covered by umbrellas, canopies, awnings, roofs, and other shade structures, provided that at least 3 of the space are open to the outdoors. Will they can send a drone? So forget about going to your parents' house for Thanksgiving or having them over. Seating must provide at least 6 feet distance in all directions, front and back and side to side between different households. Everyone at a gathering should frequently wash their hands with soap and water and use hand sanitizer if soap and water are not available. A place to wash hands must be available for participants to use. Presumably, you could wash your hands in a bathroom, but you'd have to go inside only to use the bathroom. Shared items should not be used during a gathering as much as possible. Any food or beverage or other outdoor gatherings must be in a single-serve disposable container. What happened to plastics? If providing single-service disposable container, that's not recycled. If providing single-serve containers is not possible, food and beverages must be served by a person who washes or sanitizes their hands frequently and wears a face covering, of course. Self-serve items from communal containers should not be used. People at gatherings may remove their face coverings briefly to eat or drink, as long as they stay at least 6 feet from everyone outside their own household and put their face covering back on as soon as they're done with the activity. Thank you, Gruesome. Briefly, no lingering over Thanksgiving dinner. Gatherings should be for 2 hours or less. The longer the duration, the risk of transmission increases, because Corona says, man, it's been 2 hours and 5 minutes. I'm jumping on you, Scanlon. We're jumping. 1 hour and 55 minutes. I'm back. These guys, this isn't science. These guys are freaking nuts. These guys, stop. We got to laugh at these people, but start freaking getting sanctimonious and saying how insane this is. If you are sitting on this my channel right now, fear for your life because of coronavirus, I'm going to invite you to leave. I'm sick of this crap. This right here is commie crap, Orwellian stuff. The idea you cannot sit there with your grandma. I don't have 2 grandparents. All right, well, 2 parents. Both my mom and my dad are divorced. They haven't been together for years and years. I don't have a relationship with either of them, really. Not my dad for a long time. My mom a little bit. But either way, my mom comes here. My dad comes here. That's 3 households. What happens to my wife's mom and dad? Now they're passed, but they couldn't come here according to Gruesome. Was going to arrest us like they do in Australia. I mean, literally, if you are scared crapless of coronavirus, please leave. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't. I'm sick of this crap. Gathering should be for 2 hours or less. That's not science. That's nuts. That's just a freaking politician grabbing as much power as he can. Singing, chanting, shouting, and physical exertion significantly increases the risk of COVID-19 transmission because these activities increase the release of respiratory droplets and are found aerosols into the air. So even now they're saying aerosols, fine aerosols into the air can transfer COVID-19, which, you know, what doesn't stop aerosols? It's your freaking mask. It doesn't stop it. Masks don't stop aerosols. They might stop. I've talked about this 1,000 times. They might stop droplets. They don't stop aerosols. If coronaviruses can be transmitted by aerosols, your masks aren't doing anything other than virtue signaling. Banning singing is probably a good thing, but exertion? This guy says banning singing, and my family banning singing because they're not good singers. Thankfully, he's taken a lot of abuse on Twitter, and deservedly so, but the time has come for civil disobedience. Could not agree more. Also, voting for freedom. Here in Minnesota, Republican leadership in both the Senate and House have promulgated a contract to open Minnesota. If Republicans keep their Senate majority and win a majority in the House, they have pledged to end the one-man rule our state has been laboring under and end the state of emergency, reopen schools, and trusting individuals and their local governments to look after public safety. The effects of shutdowns have been catastrophic, palpable, and undeniable. Their supposed benefits are hypothetical, speculative, and unsupported by data. The time has come to set our people free. I could not agree more. And remember, it was last year. It was about this time last year, the banning of straws. Remember plastic straws? This is affluenza. When you allow idiots to say we're going to ban plastic straws, and that was made by a 5th grade girl, by the way, who did some report on how bad plastic straws were. You know where she got a report? Some crazy group like Greenpeace or something like that. That's what that came from. This one freaking 5th grade girl. They're always girls too. Greta Thunberg. I guess, what's his name? David Hogg. He was a dude. Is he a dude? I don't know. But he's for gun control, so whatever. But what I'm saying is just these young idiots are out there telling us, grown people who know better, how to live. It just shows you how good we have it when we're freaking saying plastic straws. Oh my goodness, we got to save the environment, ban plastic straws. Now look where we are, man. The days of plastic straws, we forgot about that. You know what we're doing now, though? Now we're telling people you have to use single-serve disposal utensils and whatnot. Plastics, nuts. Speaking of plastics, let's just go along to this here real quick. I've been wanting to share this with you for a while. I'm pissed off. This really infuriates me. This is not America. I'll be damned if I ever set foot in California. I'll tell you that right now, man. Friggin', I don't. If you're in California, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. All right, so I want to read this right here. Imagine a world without oil, shall we? Let's imagine a world without oil. It's from Newsmax, Dateline, October 24th, 2020. Were not for hydrocarbon fuel, industrial, and agriculture revolutions, you and I, along with all the whales that provided blubber oil for lamps, wouldn't be here today. But since we're already here, what if petroleum and coal, we in America and the rest of the world now depend on for about 80% of our energy, were, for whatever unfathomable reason, to be taken away? Imagine, for example, the Green New Dealers, that all the hydrocarbon energy is mandated to be replaced by vastly expanding the 2% of global energy presently provided by so-called renewable wind, hydroelectric, solar, and geothermal. So basically, hydroelectric is already at max for the most part. Geothermal, was it Iceland or something like that? They got a lot of geothermal. I'm not sure we can get it here. I like geothermal, frankly. Wind is as corrupt as all can be. I like solar. It's not going to get you what you need. I was just listening to a podcast say the guy's like, solar is going to be here in 10 years. I mean, this guy's a guy I like and trust and respect. I was like, dude, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm sorry. Solar is not going to be here in 10 years, replacing our freaking need of coal, natural gas, and oil. It's not going to be. It's just not. It's insane to even think that. And I'm just talking electricity. I'm not even talking about energy as a whole for transportation and all that other stuff. Solar is electricity. It's not going to be here to replace freaking fossil fuels. Never mind. Hell, it'd be great if we had nuclear, but that's not happening either. Several authors of a September 2017 study in the Journal for Energy and Environmental Science advocate programs to do exactly that. Refer to Wind, Water, and Sunlight Plan, WWS. 80 to 85% of existing energy sectors, not just electricity, energy sectors would be electrified by 2030, and 100% would be replaced with zero emissions technology by 2050. Included are all the conversion demands for transportation, heating, cooling, industrial, agriculture, forestry, and fishing. The WWS, wind, water, and sunlight vision is obviously dominated by wind and solar. Water, as in hydropower, already faces strong environmental lobby in California, by the way, and in any case has few suitable new sites or expansion at 100%. Writing in Friends of Science, UK Cambridge University electrical engineer professor Michael Kelly and energy economist Robert Lyman have compiled some illustrative data as to a basis to assess whether the alternate WWS universe is either desirable or feasible. Here are but a few sobering examples. Accommodating the 46,480 solar photovoltaic PV plants envisioned in the WWS for just the US would take up 650,000 square miles, almost 20% of the lower 48. This is close to the combined areas of Texas, California, Arizona, and Nevada. Western Europe has extensive experience with investments in renewables to replace fossils. By the end of 2014, the generating capacity of renewable energy sources amounted to 22% of Europe's capacity, while actual output was only 3%. The generating capacity renewable amounted to 22%, while actual output was only 3%. What could that possibly be? Oh, yeah, exactly. Nameplate versus actual production. It's a lot different. This is a 100 megawatt plant. Yeah, we're only getting freaking 1 kilowatt out of it. Meaning 8% of UK's real energy needs would require having to build 44,000 offshore wind turbines. Doing this would fill the entire 2,000-mile UK coastline with a strip about 2.5 miles wide. To meet 8% of the UK's real energy needs would require having to build 44,000 offshore wind turbines. To replace a 440 megawatt of US generation expected to be retired over the next 25 years would take 29.3 billion solar photovoltaic panels and 4.4 million battery modules. The area covered by these panels would be equivalent to the state of New Jersey. It required 929 years to build as many panels at a rate of 1 per second. 29.3 billion solar PV. I'm assuming those are a meter. I don't know. I'm going to assume it's 1 square meter for each panel. It require 4.4 million battery modules. A central component of world water, wind, and sun calls for the electrification of all transportation uses. This is technically impossible now, as the technologies have not yet been developed that would allow battery storage applicable to heavy-duty trucks, marines, vehicles, and aircraft. It's coming, Josh. It's coming. It's not coming. Even in the case of automobiles, despite taxpayer subsidies of $7,500 per vehicle and up, the number of all EVs sold has consistently fallen short of government goals. The cost of electrifying passenger rail systems are so high that no private railway would ever take them on. Electrification of freight railway system makes even less sense and would cost at least $1 trillion each. The proponents of WWS grossly underestimate the cost of integrating renewable energy sources into the current electricity system. The cost of backup generation, storage, load balancing is a big one, and transmission is enormous. About 60 pounds of batteries are needed to store the energy equivalent to that 1 pound of hydrocarbons. So that's a wonderful thing about hydrocarbons, the energy density. 60 pounds are needed to store the energy equivalent to that in 1 pound of hydrocarbons. Meanwhile, 50 to 100 pounds of various materials are mined, moved, and processed by hydrocarbons for 1 pound of battery produced. In rough terms, it requires the energy equivalent of about 100 barrels of oil to fabricate a quantity of batteries that can store a single barrel of oil equivalent energy. In fact, one thing I always say is, how many solar panels, well, 300 watt solar panels. All right, well, just how many does it take to build one 300 watt solar panels without any oil, not fossil fuels, any whatsoever? How many solar panels does it take to build one? No one ever answers that because the number is unknowable. We just don't know. I'm sure you could probably figure it out if you really want to try it, but just to build one solar panel, how many solar panels do you need? Even at the present rate of growth, mining required to make batteries will soon dominate the production of many minerals. Lithium battery production today already accounts for about 40% and 25% respectively of all lithium and cobalt mining. Nevertheless, the WWS includes a call to shut down all coal, oil, and natural gas production. This, in turn, will also force closings of all emission-intensive industries, such as mining, petrochemicals, refining, cement, auto, and parts manufacturing. The WWS vision depicts a scene from a woe-begotten pre-industrial past era rather than any future to wish for. By all means, Let's enthusiastically support research, innovation, and investments in non-fossil energy sources, nuclear in particular. Yep, that may one day become significant, maybe even primary sources of global energy. But meanwhile, let's be very grateful for our marvelous times and opportunities made possible by an abundance of hydrocarbon energy. I tell you, man, until some entirely revolutionary new sources discovered, humankind has yet to invent anything so remarkable as oil and natural gas in terms of combined energy density, efficiency, portability, reliability, and yes, environmental responsibility as well. I could not agree more. And yet, if Sniffy Joe wins, look, he's not banning fossil fuels. It's just idiotic to even think he's gonna. But the idea that there's many Americans who think it's feasible is freaking nuts, man. We got a lot of not very bright people out there. I hate to say it, they're just not. I would say they're ignorant, but at some point you gotta say, look, man, you know, ignorant means you don't know. At some point you gotta say, I think you're deliberately trying not to know, which means you're not being ignorant, you're being closed-minded. All right, so anyway, going back to Mary, would I advise a single woman to pass, I don't know how I got down that thing, Social Security, forced to make a decision? All right, so I think, Mary, if you're going to live until you're 90 and you have a pretty good idea that you can live to your 90, I think you should defer Social Security until you're at least, well, you've already passed full retirement age, so I defer till 70. I really think it comes down to, if you're going to live into your late 80s, 90s, defer Social Security until you're 70. If you're going to live until you're mid 80s, early to mid 80s, and take it at 67. I think it literally comes down to that. Hope that helps. Let's see. When will the Wellington book to be available to purchase other than the Kindle? It's right now. Again, though, buyer beware. I have yet to see what the book looks like other than on a PDF. So I have yet to see what it looks like as a paperback. So I ordered a copy. I should get here in the next couple of days. And hopefully if people ordered it and it's a cluster, I will take it off to fix it. But I have yet to see it in my hands to say it looks good. It looks good from the PDF. So, I mean, I've done this, my 5th book now, and all the other ones I've done the same. They all came out just like I anticipated. No, that's not true. I had one book, I think, was it this one? I can't remember. I had one book, as the print was jacked up. I was like, what are you guys doing, man? It's bad. I said, you guys are making this horrible. They had all kinds of mistakes in that. I forgot what book it was. I was mad. Let's see. I'm not a fan of target funds, no, because they get progressively more conservative as you age. I don't like that. Is there a better Wellington fund? I'm in VWENX. I'm not even sure what VWENX is, Kathy. Is that her name, Kathy? So let's read VWENX. Is that the Wellington Admiral shares? VWENX. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you just got the cheaper version. Yeah, I got no problem with that. Grover says, Mary, I just released a video series literally just today, as a matter of fact. Yep. Taking Social Security for singles. I just did that today. Three episodes of that, Mary. So watch those for sure. Vinyl says, as you get older, you may spend more on household help. Yeah, I will. I was just talking to a guy today or yesterday. He lives someplace, South Dakota. He said, I'm not shoveling anymore. He hires somebody out for that. I said, man, no doubt. Wellesley's my number 2, says CB. Right on. I already paid someone to mow the lawn now. Initially, I probably won't pay someone to take care of the garden because I enjoy that. I do not enjoy mowing the lawn though, but I do pay someone to do that now. I don't enjoy mowing the lawn. I thought I would. I don't. I still hate the leaf blowers. They drive me insane. But what are you gonna do? CB near Traverse City. I was talking to a guy in Traverse City the other day. Only come in the summer, not Fed. Right on, man. Combining reverse RMD in 4 years cash with Barbell combined. Interesting thoughts or thoughts. Combining reverse RMD. Yeah, that sounds like it'd be pretty good, man. I haven't done much. I haven't done the research on that, but I think that could work quite well. Absolutely. My heirs would be very disappointed. They might not be able to buy a horse farm. Well, they're certainly not buying it with all my money. I'll tell you that right now. It was Joe Kennedy bought stocks at the bottom recession. They were giving them away. Let's see. When Patty says, when you win in the retirement game, you should celebrate and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Could not agree more, Patty. I wish more people would. I mean, man, and think about you. It's okay to take care of number one. Like, I'm raising 4 kids. I'm taking care of number one. Basically, I watched my mom when we lived in Virginia. My wife's mom lives, so my mom lived over here. Her mom lived over there. I was going back and forth. I got 4 kids. So, and I'm sure everyone has stories like this. You see what I'm saying? It's okay to take care of number one at some point. That doesn't mean you start lighting cigars with $100 bills, but it just means at the end of the day, say, look, man, it's okay to have fun. It's okay to enjoy. We're not, was it Calvins? Is the Calvins who say, or is it Calvins? Like the Stoics of Christianity? I think it was, right? Calvinists. So you don't have to be like that. God doesn't want you to be miserable. He wants you to be happy. You'd be happy knowing God loves you and God sent Jesus to die for you, and you're grateful and you give back to God what's God's, and then you freaking enjoy some of it. It's no big deal, but you got to make sure you take care of, God doesn't need your money, but it's a way to show that you trust that he will provide. That's the benefit about tithing and things of that nature. When you start doing that, man, not only is it very humbling, not only does it feel so good. In fact, I missed an opportunity today. I felt kind of weird. I wasn't sure, but I was picking up some pizza for my kids because I was going to one of my other kids had a tennis match day, and we just got some pizza. So, and a lady had a kind of rundown car. She's having a hard time turning the battery over. And I said, hey, you need to jump. She goes, no, I got it. It's okay. And she probably had seen better days. But she was delivering pizza, if that makes sense. Probably 50, kind of fake blonde hair. And she'd probably seen better days. Let's put it that way. I said, man, and her car was just beaten up to all get out. And, she might still be seeing bad days, you know what I mean? But I felt like I should have said, hey, here's $20, man, or something like that. She didn't ask. She's still got a job, and I respect anyone who's got a job. And I don't know. I said, I kind of stopped there. I said, I don't know. That'd be kind of weird. And I said, I don't want her thinking like prostituting her or something. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. But I just felt bad for her. You know what I'm saying? The lady who's probably been down on her luck and seen better times. I said, man. And as I drove away, I said, that would have made me feel good if I would have given her $20. I didn't do it. Just kind of felt weird. But when you give away money, you're the one who feels the best. The people who get it feel great, but you feel 10 times better than the people who get it. It's like you're doing it because it makes you feel good more than anything else. But you're also doing it because you trust that God's going to provide for you, if that makes sense. And I didn't do it. And I just felt like I probably should have. But then I was like, I don't know. She didn't know me. I know her. I just kind of creepy in a way. I don't want to be like a person. She wasn't cute or anything like that. Hey, lady, here's 20. No. But with that said, I was like, that might have been a little bit weird. But I always try to find some way I can, help people out in some regard when I can, which is why I always carry cash. So if you see me walking down the street, mug me, I got cash. I don't carry that much cash. But, you saw Trump, he's giving $20 bills. They had a picture of him at some hotel, and the valet people are coming out, or whatever the people, the bellboys, he's giving $20 like candy. I mean, that's what you do, man. It makes you feel good. And let's see. Iki, well, I would be concerned that healthcare costs will increase quite a bit later in life and wouldn't spend all that money in early retirement. All right. Well, where's the evidence of that? That's fine. Where's the evidence? I just want to know. I mean, just show us the evidence that healthcare costs increase dramatically later in time, and I'll make an argument that if you can make that argument, that's a valid point. But the evidence is not there. It's just not. I mean, the healthcare costs do increase, but they're starting at such a low amount anyway. The increases are little. They're not that big of a deal in the overall scheme of things. I'm just telling you, show me. And I look, this is the big, everyone does this. They say, I'm worried about healthcare. And the reason they are, because we've been told since Fidelity started using the study, probably 1999, the average couple needs back then is like $150,000 in healthcare costs. That does not include long-term care. And now it's like $326,000. And it just, everyone starts freaking out. The thing's a freaking scam, man. It's a scam. You actually do need those numbers. I'm telling you, it's true. It is absolutely true. But what do you need for food? It's a hell of a lot more than $326,000. What do you need for property tax? It's a hell of a lot more than $326,000. Because no one lives like, I need $326,000 today to cover the course of my healthcare costs for the next 30 years. No one lives like that. If you did, you would never retire. What do you need to fill up the car with gas? What do you need for property tax? What do you need for this? What do you need for that? If we were going to take a lump sum and put it in today's numbers, no one would ever retire. In fact, if I said that, I said, man, you probably need $2 million for food. I did a video on this not that long ago, literally about the same thing. I think my man Mike from Connecticut actually sent me an email on that, which is pretty good. He crunched the numbers, said, if I, I can't remember what he said, I need 2.7 million in food or something like that. If I started today at 63 years old and I retired, I need an equivalent of 2.7 million in today's numbers in order to eat for the next 30 years. You can never retire. I frankly find that is a way to get people not to quit their crappy old jobs, and to continue to save and spend less money than they should, so the investment industry can get rich off it. That's the way to look at it. Many older friends always tell me about the stuff Medicare does not cover. And that's why you get a supplemental policy for sure. Absolutely. Medicare doesn't cover glasses. It doesn't cover ear. It doesn't cover teeth. So if you're going to get teeth replacement, you probably want to get that way. You got insurance through your work. But so you get teeth, $20,000. I had talked to a guy a year ago, $40,000 for brand new whole mouth done up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, all right, that's a one-time deal. It's a lot of money. That doesn't happen to that many people. It might be a couple $1,000, might be $20,000 if you need it. Now that's a big expense. I don't deny that, but is it likely? B, how much is it going to cost? I don't know. Glasses, they're not that expensive. I mean, my goodness, you get glasses. I got a pair, $300, and I'll probably have them for 5 years or something like that. Not that expensive. Ear doctor stuff, that can be kind of pricey, but I think Costco now has hearing aids you can get pretty cheap, my understanding. So all these things you can deal with. The big one is long-term care facilities. Well, what's the likelihood you're going into one? It's just not high. It's just not high. 48% of people do not use any long-term care facility at all or have any out-of-pocket expenses for long-term care facility, I should say. Of the 52%, the vast majority do spend out less than $20,000 out of pocket. There is an outlier of about 10% of people who spend more than six figures, which happens to coincide with the value of your home. So if you're spending more than six figures in a long-term care facility, inherently you're not occupying that same home. So you're going to sell your home to move in that long-term care facility, if that is even going to come to fruition, which a lot of times it does not. But you got to take care of you, man. Pat, Vinyl. Okay. Vinyl, Patty, you're heading up to Connecticut, eh? Yep. Trump's going to win, man. All right. Uh-oh. Was this guy not like when I said something positive about, who knows what this guy's saying? All right. Never mind. All right. Troll ping, right on. Josh, what are your thoughts? Man, I keep doing that. Exactly, Warrior. My man Warrior for JC says solar will be unable to replace fossil fuels until battery storage is much, much more capable. Hey, Skip Ritchie, man. Where do you go get the cheap? My man Skip is here. Where do you go get the cheap gold that has less BTUs? The cheap gold that has less BTUs. British thermal units? But I don't get the cheap gold. I don't get what you're saying, man. I'm for bamboo straws that once you use them, you burn them in your fireplace. What kind of pollution comes from burning bamboo? Renewables pollute. What's a renewable? Biomass. Trees. That's pollutes like crazy. It's actually killing many people in India and third world countries for sure. Brian says he's looking at Georgia for to retire. Someone named Cantley is one of the Zozo. Don't even know whatever. Sarah says, I don't even know what that is. I assume if it's vinyl, it's golf. Sarah says she's gonna stay in California and she's gonna fight. Well, someone's got to do it. I would say your best bet is probably to Diddy Mao, as I learned from Platoon. Remember that movie Platoon? But yeah, I get it. Someone's got to stay back and fight for sure. That guy's nuts. And Governor Gruesome. Ugh. Can we put plastic straws and trash unfinished? Yeah, probably, man. Pat LaFontaine. Pat LaFontaine, right on, Alan. Are you planning to do a book tour with the Wellington piece, perhaps virtually? Well, I'm not sure what you mean, Ray. A book tour virtually. I don't even know what. I mean, I get a book tour would be doing seminars on it, but I'm not sure what you mean virtually. How would you? I don't know what a virtual book tour would be. I mean, I know we got lots of people go on podcasts and stuff, like Douglas Murray just listening to Brett Weinstein, but I've never been invited on any. Well, I've been invited to a couple podcasts, but not where some fancy schmancy good time rock and roll guys would have me. So I'm not sure what a virtual book tour would be. We need to rescue all the California conservatives and let the state fall in the water. Exactly. Gavin is a joke with a Pat Riley haircut. It will sink with California when it falls into the sea. If anyone knows that band, put it in here, man. We'll sink with California when it falls into the sea. All right, so have you seen who sings that song right there? If anyone knows that, you are the man or the lady of all men or ladies for this. Peter Lynch in 19. I did see that. That was a good man. Big fan of Peter Lynch. I still think Peter Lynch is lucky. Yeah, I did see that. Peter Lynch is a good guy, a heavy, devout Catholic, big guy, good guy. At the end of the day, if you look at any bell curve, don't sing I'll spread COVID. If you know any bell curve, there's always going to be outliers. And going back to Burt Malkiel, random walk down Wall Street, some outliers aren't, they're just lucky. You know what I'm saying? There's bad luck on the left, good luck on the right. So is Peter Lynch lucky when he bought legs because he saw his wife wearing pantyhose? Or did he actually have, his fundamental prowess is so adept? We don't know. But Peter Lynch goes down as a genius for sure. All right, no one knows that song? Oh, man. Oh, if anyone knows that song, Sink with California. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Governor Gruesome. I came up with that, Karen. I came up with that. Governor Gruesome. Me. Pretty good, huh? Wisconsin signs, Trump signs everywhere. My brother was in Maine. He said he saw Trump signs everywhere, man. Lee said he'd been sleeping good after our talk the other day. I think I got an email from you, Lee, which I got to respond back to. I'd head to Mexico, Thailand, or Malaysia. Yeah, there you go. Doing that dental work, pay 2/3 less. Yeah, I completely agree. Look at these pearly yellows. Yeah. Let's see. The healthcare costs are all medical. You need that. Thanks. Josh calculated the thought because she was female and concerned about Me Too. Sad times. I don't get it, man. What does Tennessee rate on the index? Are there charities where guys get together and fix up poor women's houses? Man, I don't even know, man. South Carolina marginal income tax rate tops at 7%, average 3.9. Yikes. South Carolina rates are number 3 on the Economic Freedom of North America Index. South Carolina is too hot and muggy for me. I like Greenville, but it's too hot and muggy. Village tax is 14 mils. Ohio is oceanfront. Yeah. Actually, if you guys follow, who's this guy? What's his name? I like this guy's YouTube channel. It's what's that guy's name? Oh my, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. It's Nick Johnson. Nick Johnson. Follow Nick Johnson on YouTube. He's funny, actually. He's the best. The best city in every single state. And Jill, he says Jasper, Indiana is the best city in Indiana. Isn't that funny? All right. The brown shirts are peeking through your windows. Exactly. Whoa, property taxes. Bob Moran is paying $1,800 a year property taxes on a house that's 50 miles from the ocean. Damn, that's what I'm talking about. Now I live in North Carolina, pay $2,100 on a $400K 29 square foot home. That's fantastic, man. John just found my channel a week ago. He enjoys the content. Good. Glad you're here, brother. Just remember, so for you newbies here, I don't hide that I like the Trumpster. Just want people to know so they don't have a heart attack when I say I like the Trumpster. My Austrian Revolution shirt, Mises University. All right, so I am not a snowflake on the left, that's for sure. And I fully expect the Trumpster to win going away, and I'm going to be very happy. And if Trumpster doesn't win, I'll be depressed. But we'll move on. We always do. Let's see, Brian. Okay, can we get back to the Wellington Fund? LOL. Yeah. Don't forget the farting cows. I'm paying $5,100. What green energy high dividend stocks to load up on for Biden president? Man, I have no idea. Put all the energy to mine the lithium and to create the batteries. Who's going to dust off all those solar panels when they get dirty? I'm in Oregon now, but can't afford to stay and retire here. I moved from Southern California to Oregon. The Dems here are crazy. Yeah, Grandma, now going the bubble we set up for you, man. I tell you, 100%. All right, so there we go. I'm trying to find my man Sergio's thing here. Greta was out there. She was actually bashing the commie China. I couldn't believe it. All right, where's Sergio's question? Good. Pablo's a big guy. Surely Charlie Baker will cancel his Turkey Day. Maybe I'm the big guy. Let's see. I use my power for good, not for evil. All right, Sergio, I think I lost your comment there, man. I don't know what happened to it. Meet Kevin is turning into a globalist socialist? Eesh, no way. Oh, boy. But I don't. He was doing way too many videos on the stimulus check. I don't like that. I said, look, I get, they drew a lot of views from it and all that stuff, but he was way. I don't even watch him anymore because like every time I saw a feed, it's like the stimulus check, the stimulus check, the stimulus check. I was like, dude, you're killing me, man. So I was disappointed by that. So they had a stimulus. There's another one that everyone's talking about. Stimulus check and someone else that everyone was doing videos on, and I just real estate crash, stock crash, stimulus check, and I just like this. That's boring to me. Hey Harry, que paso, Harry? Hey Christina, right on from New Jersey. Hey, you got it. What's going on in NJ? We seen Trump signs out there. All right, so Sergio says, Josh, don't give us a "it's not you, it's me" line when you get too big for YouTube and move on to bigger things. I'll be wearing my tie, and I'll be lighting cigars with $100 bills, just like my mom used to say. So my mom used to say, we're going to, wait, let me turn my fan. I still have a relationship with my mom, just FYI. She's not in a good place, though, if that makes sense. So she's hurting for sure. Anyway, so one time when we went to the airport, the only time I flew until I went in the Army, I guess, we had flown to California to see my granddad and to see my uncles, my uncle and my cousins out in California, Thousand Oaks, and my granddad lived in Los Altos. I'll never forget driving to the airport. And there's a Lincoln Continental. And the Lincolns used to have the spare tire like inside the back trunk, and they used to have this kind of like a bubble thing. It said like Continental or something like that on there. And I must have been 5, 6 years old, something like that. And I'll never forget my mom saying, "You look at that guy. He didn't deserve that. I bet he lights cigars with $100 bills or something like that." I just always, I will never forget that. We're going to the airport. We're going someplace. We're traveling someplace. I'll just never forget. And I said, "Oh, rich people light cigars with $100 bills." So I don't know if other people use that, but I'll never forget, man. Like that rich guy, but and that's that's the way. Yeah. And that is still with me today. By the way, I still have this initial animosity to uber wealthy people, thinking that they didn't deserve it. It's still in there. I try to avoid that, but especially young kids. When I say young kids, like these Antifa Trustafarians, I still have initial hostility to say, "Hey, you didn't deserve that." You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think, it's bad on me because I do have a prejudice against the spoiled brats, the Antifa, the Black Lives Matter, these spoiled kids on the left, because they're all rich, spoiled brats. But I don't know that for sure. I just use that as it's always been like, just rich kids. And I don't know. They might have had a hard time. I don't know. But it's always been, you know, when you're raised, there is some nature versus nurture. I think the vast majority of our being is nature, but I do think there's a little bit of nurture thrown in there for sure. But I'll never forget the Lincoln Continental town car thing. It said Continental, white cigars and $100 bills. Yeah, who they steal that from? It's funny, man. Can write capital software? No, oh man, I'm glad you asked that, Mark. So no, it cannot do reverse RMD strategy in the way I'm trying to, that I've yet to figure out. It can do a reducing income needs, but it's not a reverse RMD. What makes a reverse RMD work is that it's a percentage of the asset base. And so if the asset base is shrinking, the percentage is, while it's dropping, it will never go to zero because it's always a percentage. It's never I can't really explain it, but it's just basically, you know, you're taking 4% a year of an amount, but this amount fluctuates. So it could be 4% of 100,000, 4% of 200,000, or 4% of 10,000. It's always 4%. It's never, and the percentage is always a percentage. So it will never be zero, because as long as there's something here, it'll be a percentage of that. I hope that makes sense. I have yet to figure out how to do that right capital, but I had forgotten. My man Bob from Arkansas asked me that the other day, and I totally forgot to dive into that a little bit deeper. I meant to, I just forgot. It's a good question. I'm glad you asked me though. All right, Eric just got the Kindle version. Thanks, sir. Actually, believe it or not, I get paid a crap load more on Kindle than I do on the hard copy. I did not know that. Right on. Jill says she liked my when to take Social Security stuff. Much obliged. When you have so many good ideas, it's hard to stay focused. It really is. I tell you, man, without question. Another YouTuber you should watch, my man here just says Rago List. Anyway, just maybe you think of Rageaholic. Have you seen Rageaholic? That guy's fantastic. That guy is phenomenal. This is what I love about YouTube. There's so many freaking wonderful dudes out there and ladies that are just freaking, phenomenal, funny, incredibly informative, brilliant people. I mean, some of these people are. I mean, look at Styx Haxhammer. That guy, he's nuts, but he's like a brilliant guy. I don't agree with him when it comes to God, but I mean, he's not. He didn't just fall off the turnip truck. You know what I'm saying? Will reverse RMDs possibly put you in a higher income tax bracket? Yeah, absolutely, because you're taking more on the front end, without question. Is there any reason at 72 years of age that I should stop funding Roth IRA for my wife and myself? No mortgage and have 4 years of cash? Well, if you're just converting, no, you should continue to convert. If you're funding it, you have to, I think someone said, Vino said you need to have earned income. Exactly right. So if you don't have earned income, you can't put money into a Roth IRA. You can't contribute to it. You can still convert. And if the answer is, should you stop converting? No, absolutely not. No, keep doing it, man, for sure. That way you can help to avoid the widow's tax trap. I have some timers. Why is this the second time? I'm not leaving YouTube. What are people? All right, so here's Sergio. Dave Ramsey has you 100% in equities throughout your retirement. He has no plan for sequence risk. Yeah, that's nuts, man. Mark just bought the paperback. Hans just bought the Kindle version. Thanks. BC6. I don't even know what that is. BC6. Let's take a gander. BC6. Oh, man, my eyes are getting bad. I'm getting old. BC6 is the Brown Capital Management Fund. Okay, small company fund. All right, never heard of it, but I think I've heard of Brown. I don't know. That's fine. All right, what else we got? Sergio, there you go. What are your thoughts in place of Wellington? You run a portfolio of 65% VOO and 35% using Wellesley. Using the Wells as a bond substitute. I like it. Absolutely. I got no qualm with that. When I hit that time, Sergio, I mean, look, we've said this before, but I'm going to have a reverse mortgage. I'm going to have everything in S&P, probably VTI, and then I'll have 4 years of cash. That's what I'm going to have. I'm going to have a reverse mortgage at the ready, everything in VTI, and 4 years of cash. That's simple. I mean, I think I love Wellington. Don't get me wrong. I love Wellington. At the end of the day, I'm willing to be more aggressive because I can have a backup with a reverse mortgage. So that's almost like a 3 bucket. You have your bucket 1 cash, your bucket 2 reverse mortgage, and your bucket 3 of VTI. I know a lot of people get their panties all up up tight with the reverse mortgage. I don't understand. I just saw a video yesterday on this. it was, I don't know where I'll be able to find it. This friggin' ticked me off, man. It was WFAN or something like that, someplace. And there's these people were being put out on, they had a reverse mortgage and they were being put out. And again, the media is trying to blame the reverse mortgage. And thankfully other people commented and said, there's more to this story, because you can't get put out on reverse mortgage if you still own the home and you're still occupying it. And the insinuation was the husband and the wife were being put out because they weren't paying their reverse mortgage or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And it didn't make sense. And it wasn't because property taxes, or it might have been property taxes, but it wasn't the reverse mortgage company that was putting them out. It wasn't the bank. And the insinuation was the bank was putting them out. And it's like, nah. Anyway, it was interesting. A lot of people commented, thankfully, said, this doesn't make sense. Freaking media doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. And they try to make it a racial issue. They try to say you had some bad white guy, basically bullying these people, these black people, into reverse mortgages and whatnot. And that might well be. The guy might be a scumbag. I don't know. But again, like a firearm, you got some scumbag in Las Vegas shooting up people with an AR-15. The AR-15 isn't the problem. It's the scumbag guy. The reverse mortgages isn't the problem. It's the scumbag guy. You see what I'm saying? The reverse mortgage is just a tool. AR-15 is just a tool. This coffee cup is a tool. If I bang this over my head, it's going to hurt and could kill me. But it's a tool. This has it's an inanimate object. It has no good or bad use. It just is. I can use it for good. I can use it for bad. Reverse mortgage, you can use for good, you can use for bad. Whole life insurance, use for good, use for bad. Mutual funds of Vanguard, good versus bad. Everything you can use for good or bad. It's nuts. And to blame the freaking tool is just weak ass reporting, pardon my French. It just drives me up the wall. Because I'm sitting there thinking they're pinning this on the reverse mortgage as if the reverse mortgage just woke up one day as an AR-15. I think I'm going to pull my trigger a bunch of times today. As far as I'm aware, reverse mortgage has no thought process. It can't make a decision on its own. It just sits there. You know why? Because this doesn't exist as an inanimate object. It doesn't have its own mind. Crazy. All right, the media drives me insane. All right, does anyone know who I was singing? Scott Carr, 60 Minutes interview with Trump was a disgrace to Trump and journalism. Then I watched Biden's eyes literally moving while he read his answers to the camera. Yeah, but that's why Trump recorded it himself, which is the way to do it, man. We learned from, it was a guy in Virginia. Remember that? It was Virginia, the Virginia Gun Owners Association or something like that. 60 Minutes try to make these guys seem like they're Nazis. This is back in 2013. It was the Virginia Citizens Defense League or something. I can't remember what it was. And it was Katie Couric, I think, freaking scumbag. And they try to make them, they totally sliced and diced the clips and made these guys look like they're evil. Thankfully, they had the recording themselves. It was freaking revolutionary. So, oh boy, my wife just texted me a picture of Pablo saying, cutest dog ever. Let me share it with you guys. Oh my goodness. Love that dog. Oh man. Anyway, and that was and thankfully these people had, the whole thing. I think they were able to get money from a stupid Katie Corrupt. Katie Couric. I just said Katie Corrupt. Yep, exactly. It was disgraceful. I'll never forget that. I said, that's what you got to start doing, my friends. You got to record the whole thing. And the Trumpster, he ain't no fool. You see him on Jason Whitlock the other day? It's like Trump knows how to play to the eye. He knows what he's doing. He's a great politician, man. Love the Trumpster. He knows how to do it. It's great because the regular Republicans think if we just play nice, they'll be okay with us. No, they won't. We should have learned by friggin' George W. The thing that ticked me off about George W. is that we sat there and freaking busted our butt for him, and he never took our defense ever. Man, I cannot tell you how much I worked on that guy's campaign in 2004. I had a friend of mine named Marty, who was a taxi driver in Harrisonburg. And Marty, believe it or not, this is where the Republican Party in of itself is just as corrupt as the Democratic Party in a lot of ways, the local Republican Party. But anyway, so in Harrisonburg, Virginia, you could only have one taxi. You could not have two. Marty tried to be a second to open up the taxi. And they said, you can only get a taxi license if competition that you're competing against says they can't serve the populace. So I have to get the competitor to agree to allow me to be to compete against them. Yes. Marty said, well, that's stupid. And so he said, well, screw that. They've denied him his license. So he said he was going to take people. He took old people, Mennonites, because Mennonites don't have cars a lot, but they're old. And he took them from, their houses and, the way out in the farmland into the hospital for free. Drunk college students he took around for free, and or charged a fare. I can't remember, but it was, what the regular taxi, the one company, the monopoly would not do. Anyway, he was pulled over 1 million times a Sunday by the cops. They said, you don't have the license to be a taxi operator. We're on you like what on rights. Anyway, so Barry said, well, screw that. If they're going to get me anyway, I'm going out full blazer. So we bought, I don't know, I worked on behalf of Bush for the Rockham County Republican Party, and I was pretty active. And we had, I don't know, we put 500 George Bush bumper stickers on his taxi. It was funny, man. He was driving around with Bush. It was funny as hell. And long story short, that's the kind of stuff that we did to support George W. Bush, the Republican Party. We're out there, you know what I'm saying? And he was getting badgered, and not one time did he stand up and just say, no, you're not attacking me, you're attacking my supporters. And Trump says the exact opposite. Because look, they don't hate me, they hate you, is what he says. I could not agree more. General Flynn to take over the CIA after that man. John, that would be, how awesome. Mike Flynn in charge of the CIA. Oh, dude, that's the only reason you need to vote for Trump right there, as if you need anything else. Brian says, I'll need to live on my 401k till full retirement age. Where should I park my money? 4 years cash, the rest in stocks. That's the way I would do it, man. Pablo for president. Sergio Santana, Josh thoughts on 60. Yeah. No, I like it. 65 VO and 35% Wellesley. I think it's a good move. I got no qualm with that at all, man. I used the hollowed out femur bone of a sea turtle for a straw. Let's see what else we got. Youth Brigade. Holy crap. Great Riff is here. Did you Google that? Youth Brigade. Yes, sir. And they're from California. They're from Canada. Naturally from Canada. Also requires you to wear your mask in between bites when eating in restaurants. Right. Mary moved from California to North Carolina to escape the liberal madness, but North Carolina has a big lib governor too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I got you. Rachel List says it's hard to leave California with your lifetime of friends. I struggle with this every day. Yeah, we got a bunch of people, man. Right on. All right, so John Fitch, Jimmy Patchett. Jimmy's the guy who said Biohazard the other day too. So Jimmy's a hardcore guy, hardcore kid. I'll spread COVID. Pablo get COVID. You like in North Carolina, Mary, compared to California? All right. Yep, CB did 10 enlisted, 28 commissioned, 38 all in retired, 1 June this year. Yes, sir. Greenwich is the best town in Connecticut, but it's very expensive. Yeah, too expensive for us. POFO. For the love of God, Wisconsin will carry Trump to the finish line, says Eric. We shall see. We shall see, man. I'm pretty stoked. I want to retire at 63. I'm 60 now. All right. Your thoughts on a portfolio? Okay, so Sergio says your thoughts with a 65 VO, 35% Wellesley looks pretty good on portfolio visualizer. Love it, man. How about 4% of 10 million, Josh? I don't get it. Got to run. Good night, Rob. Thanks for narrating or moderating and nuking people. Yeah, Trump retweeted Sticks a few days ago. That was crazy. By RIP. Oh, that's RIP. RIP. I get it. That's what you guys are. Okay. I'm not sure who RIP is. I was saying Youth Brigade. Total stock for S&P 500. I like the total stock index. Absolutely. Bill Griffith recommended the Wellington Fund when I called his show 27 years ago. That's crazy. Right on. You got to pay why do you think the FBI has been sitting on Hunter's laptops? It's because the FBI is corrupt as can be. It's sad. Christopher Wray is that. I mean, look, I love Trump. He's had some pretty crappy hires, if you know what I'm saying. Chris Wray is one of them. He's had some pretty crappy guys in there. That's for sure. Sad, man. Fauci should have got rid of Fauci. I think Trump is eager to be liked so much that if people sweat him a little bit, kiss his butt, he's like, all right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And Fauci, I guarantee Fauci is the biggest butt kisser DC has ever seen. Guarantee. You shared you don't like a public option for healthcare. Do you feel Medicare should be replaced by a private option? Well, do I feel Medicare should be replaced by a private option? I don't even understand the question. Medicare, as we sit here today, is I mean, you're paying for it through your taxes. All right. So I think there should be a voucher system. Absolutely. I don't know if you say it's a private. Medicare Advantage is certainly a voucher system without question. Medigap, yeah, so insurance companies offering it. So it's not even Medicare itself. I mean, Part B, Part D, they're still paying private entities. So when you say public option versus private, I mean, the idea that Medicare is a socialist euphoria is insane. It's not. It's private, man. It's private. The government is involved. It's a public-private partnership, no without question, of which we pay taxes for, which is also dying on the vine right now. I would actually, let's say we're going to get voucher system just like the GI Bill, just like Medicare Advantage. Say we'll give you we're going to mandate a certain level of benefits for sure. I get it. I mean, look, these days there'll never be a libertarian healthcare model. Never be. Too bad. I wish they'd say we're going to mandate a certain level of healthcare. We're going to give you each person $10,000 a year. Go crazy. I think it'd be great. I got no problem with that at all. None whatsoever. Just like the GI Bill, you earn it, you get it. You get to do whatever you want with it. Trust me, I spent many a day spending my $750 a month on GI money, not paying for college, but drinking Guinness Stout. Let me tell you that right now. Same thing in Medicare Advantage. You get the choice. I mean, again, Medicare is a choice. You don't have to have Part D. You're still paying it. You still paid your taxes for it too. So it's not like it's a socialist program. It's not. The GI Bill is not a socialist program. The police force is not a socialist program. The roads are not socialist programs. We pay for these things with taxes. Just because you pay taxes doesn't mean it's socialist. Who freaking puts the roads in? Are they government people? No. They're freaking private businesses. Who pays for the vehicles, the firearms, the police force? Are they government? No, they're private businesses. It's nuts. All these people sitting there, socialism's out everywhere. Schools are socialist. No, they're not. Schools are absolutely not socialist. I guess you could say in some way they are. That's why they suck so bad. Private school, public schools, because they are made by the public sector. So I guess you could say public schools are a lot more socialistic than the roads, than the police force and all that. Who builds the schools, though? Certainly not government people. It's certainly private people do. But I guess you could say in some regards, the schools, and that's why they're indoctrinating kids into socialists, because they are somewhat quasi-socialist. There's more so than the police force is, certainly. But be it as it may, I wouldn't even say the socialists are schools because the government is not putting these things together. They're just not. So let me stop. Pablo poops in the basement and he shuts it down. 4 years of cash. What funds or stocks would you recommend for the rest? I like VTI, man. The total stock index. VTI or bust, baby. George W. had a lot of closet lives in his Nicole Wallace. Yeah, 100% right, man. Got to go, says Vinyl. Right on. He's going to see some golfing, I guess. All right. Yeah, nobody do a Jeffrey Tubin on this live stream, please. Don't want to see all that crap. All right. I don't know what QYLD is. Sorry, man. Trump bought home. Okay. What's my number one favorite book? Screwtape Letters. Screwtape Letters is my number one favorite book. Yeah, paying $5K a year for Medicare premiums because, well, not even because it's still working. You're still going to pay $150 a month roughly for Part B, and $50 a month for Part D. It's not free. It's not socialist. Screwtape Letters. I mean, obviously the Bible is Screwtape Letters for sure. All right, let's see. I'm worried about my annuities since the market hyper bubble. Do you think the implosion of stock would affect the ability of annuity to pay out the distributions? No, insurance companies are strong without question. I don't know if the market is in a hyper bubble. Why do you think that? Because PE ratios are high? Are the PE ratios all that high relative to the bond yields? I don't think so. I don't think the market is in a hyper bubble at all. Not by any stretch of imagination. So, I mean, I know people say they look at the CAPE ratios, cyclically adjusted price earnings metrics, and we'll get out of here in just a second. The Cape would say, oh my goodness, the price of stocks are way too overvalued historically, which means low returns in the future. What's the price of alternative things? Well, the price of bonds are through the roof relative to stocks. And you see that because the yields on bonds are way low. Yields on cash way low. Real estate isn't cheap. So your alternatives are what? Stocks, bonds, real estate, cash. Or private business. Start your own business. But stocks, bonds, real estate, cash. Everything is pricey. There's nothing cheap in any of those things. So when you look at them, the overall picture, are stocks high relative to stocks historically? Yeah. Are they high relative to bonds, real estate, and cash historically? No, not at all. So at the end of the day, paying off your debts is the number one thing you can do. Starting a business is wonderful too, but starting a business is risky because then the government gruesome can put you out of work and blame you for not wearing your mask. All right. I'm going to get out of here, my friends. Appreciate y'all being here. I'm going to do I'll read each chapter of my book in the next couple of days for sure. Got some other videos to do next. Now, I always forget. I always want to lead to the exciting so you guys watch tomorrow. I just forgot what they were, but I got a couple. Ooh, I do want to read it. No, I'm not going to do it tonight. There's one I wanted to share with you. This right here, and you all should read this too if you get a chance. If I can find it. Yeah, right here, I think. Right here. Oops. My man Michael Edison. So remember, I've interviewed him twice, and he's fantastic. The Fallacy of Rebalancing Revisited. I was going to read that tonight. We got caught up in other things. So I will read that tomorrow. Excited. He's got 50 comments. The reason I like Edison is he doesn't pull punches. He takes on the business. And he even says right here, recently Bob Hoopshire sent me several articles on rebalancing that have been published since that time by Kitsis, Swedrow, and he responded to them. They all suffer from the exact same defect. That's Edison, man, taking on Larry Swedrow, taking on Kitsis, and taking on Morningstar. That's what I love about Edison's big lib. He's not that much of a lib anymore. He's kind of like a Brett Weinstein. He's a liberal, but he's seeing that the libs have gone way too far to the left. So anyway, I'm excited to read this one to you because I'm a big fan. Big fan first time. All right.